Who won the transfer window?
Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Ooh.
I'm joking, man. They
No,
signed one player, bro. But it's a good.
I was going to say, where's he going with this?
I
was
joking.
all eyes on you.
Liverpool fans are furious with that one signing. It's a great signing.
Sometimes though, like
Great signing, but
sometimes
it's
not
not
signing
enough.
too many players is a good window.
Yeah, but one.
DM was the big one. Like DM was the big one.
Yeah, they needed a DM, man.
And I think we've seen Liverpool a few times over the years, like do this thing where, you know what, if they can't get the man that they want, we saw it last year with Caicedo and Lavia. If they can't get those guys, they're not going to go and be bullied into going, okay, then we've got to go and get a DM from this club. They found a cheaper alternative. They got Endo in.
Yeah,
This year, they wanted Zubimendi. Couldn't get him. Okay, we're not going to get bullied into it. They've now got Gravenberch, who seems to be playing really, really well in this position. And so I think, like, if you can look at it from that point of view, they look like they've got a really good goalkeeper for the future that they've signed who can come in a couple of years' time. Chiesa was as cheap as chips. If it works out, brilliant. You got him for 10 million quid. If it doesn't, you spent 10 million quid. It's not the end of the world. I don't think they've had, I don't think they have the best window.
Yeah,
no,
it can't
I
be a
just
good
don't
window.
think it's as bad as everyone's making out to be.
But
I do agree with you, but you have to caveat that with this isn't Spurs with all due respect, or Brighton or Aston Villa even. This is Liverpool, maybe the second biggest club in England, top 5 certainly in Europe. They haven't planned for the future. Salah's already said after the Man United game that it might be his last season. They still needed a bit more, and we can see the money there. They bid 100 million quid for Caicedo. What about Man United? I know they got battered. Let's take away that kind of Liverpool and Brighton performance and just look at it as a kind of business performance. Yoro's come in, Yagart's come in, De Ligt, Xerxes, and Mazraoui. I think it's good business.
I think they've done very good business this season.
Do you not think, to counter that, like, I agree, we can't just look and say they got battered or whatever by Liverpool, so it's bad. The signings are good, but it worries me that there's so many of his signings, and it's like, if they don't work out and Ten Hag goes, another manager comes in, will he fancy these players?
I think Yoro's versatile. He could be...
there's definitely there's players on that list you can't question their ability.
Mazraoui
Xerxes is the one I think you're spot on about.
You just don't know. You just
might
don't
be
know
the
if
best
a
of
new
the bunch.
manager comes in and goes, "Are these players actually what I want, or are they 10?
Yeah, but also, like, I mean, this is what they. I guess this is what giving him the contract extension is about, right? They are saying to, okay, look, we trust your thinking, we trust whether that's the right decision or not.
Yeah.
But they've also brought in this new structure where essentially this is the whole point in having a sporting director. Where, okay, if we do end up getting rid of the manager down the line, well, we've got this sporting structure in place that we guide the transfers, we make decisions here. De Ligt, obviously, Ajax. I think that one very much comes from Ten Hag. He's been after him for a few years. But Yoro, 18 years old, like one for the future.
That wasn't Ten Hag signing though. I think that was Manchester United.
I think that's a Manchester United.
Exactly.
I don't think he knows who he is.
Yeah.
Even Agate, like he had a decent year last year, but he was someone that was being quoted as a ridiculous amount of money the year before to the likes of Chelsea and such, and then he went to PSG. But he's young. I think that's just, these are guys who are at least going to be usable. They're not like Varane, who was nearly 30 and they put him on a massive wage.
Sanchez, Di Maria.
Well, I was going to say, I'll throw it on Miles, but I was going to say, like, them not signing Sterling is a sign that I think they're moving in the right direction. And I actually really rate Sterling. I really think he's a great player. But Manchester United, 3-4 seasons ago, go and get Sterling. And it's like they probably signed him on a 4-year, 5-year contract like Casemiro, whereas, you know, with all due respect, he is aging a bit. He's not proven it at Chelsea. So it's a risky signing. It's a new sign. So I want to ask you, do you think Sterling's a good signing for Arsenal? How do you feel about your window? Obviously, you signed Marino injured.
Yeah.
Is it enough?
We talk about my whole signings as together. Just
Arsenal,
Sterling.
yeah. How do you feel with Arsenal?
Arsenal signing, their transfer window out of 10, I'll probably give it a 5 or a 6, personally.
Really?
Yeah. We signed Calafiori, which I think we needed. We needed left back because obviously Zinchenko is not the best defensively when it comes to, like, going against wingers. Last year we saw against Mo Salah and Leon Bailey, and now we've got Timber who's just come back from injury, so he's like a new signing, but he's not. So Calafiori, he's not too bad. He could play left back, he could play centre back. Very good. We got McKola Moreno. Obviously,
he can't help what happened.
No, he can't. No, it's not his fault. It's a freak accident. No one's mad at it. It's just one of those things. Just get well soon, and when you come back, hopefully we're still up there, and you just help us fight on for honours.
Everyone thought it was a good deal, I think.
Good deal. Good deal. McKola Moreno. So that's 2. You've got a centre back, and now you've got a midfielder. Okay, now you're working down the spine of the team. Now we're looking for a striker. Well, what I think what happened now is that because Havertz fired on all cylinders at the back end of last season and started scoring more goals, Arteta's probably thinking, maybe I don't need a striker now. But we still did need a striker.
So you see, obviously, and this could maybe come back to Chelsea, but you see kind of obviously where Osman's ended up on loan to Galatasaray. Is there a little bit of you that thinks maybe, kind of wish Arsenal maybe got involved a little bit more?
Yes, now, especially he's gone to Galatasaray on loan.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the agent's issue.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my God, this guy went on loan. Like, we could have grabbed him on loan.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So, someone like Ivan Toney's gone off to
45 million, I think it was for Ivan Toney. Would you have spent that?
Yeah, of course. Like I was saying to my friends the other day, Arsenal's not even my friends. I was saying to Specs the other day, we was big argument on the phone. We was arguing. We was hammer and tongue. I was saying, listen, Arsenal's at a period we're at a period now where we're going for the title. We're going for the league. So you only need one or two pieces to try get this over the line. Arteta and Edu and the rest of the board, they should have gambled. Go to Newcastle, for example, and put down 90 million or 85 million and test them for Isak. Don't
double it.
Don't speak. No. I'm not saying that's how much he's worth. I'm saying don't speak about it. Be about it. Put the bid down. Make it. Got rejected. Okay, let's see what's next. We had from June until now to get a striker. Everybody knew we needed a striker. You could have got Ivan Toney. Yes, he's 28. Everyone said he's in his prime right now. Roll the dice. 45 million. That's what you might need to win the league.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a bit like Man United with
you got to
Van
roll
Persie,
the dice.
for example.
You can't just rely on someone like Jesus, who's injured 2 games into the season now. Yeah. Obviously, it's not his fault, but he's injured. He's looking like he's an injury-prone player. We know that Havertz is not more than likely going to get 30 goals a season. I'd love it. Sterling, for me, was a great signing if we signed a striker. It's the cherry on the top.
He's squad filler, isn't he, ultimately? Like I like him a lot. He's played a lot of football. I think in footballing terms, he's about 35 years old, isn't he?
He will get us goals. He'll get us GA, that 100%. And Sterling, like we said, like you...
It's like Jorginho, though, isn't it? Jorginho came in, he did a job. But now you've got a 33-year-old guy.
No.
But I saw an Arsenal fan, he sort of said on a video, we need the next Sterling. That's what an Arsenal fan said. It's like, who's the next winger that is this kind of powerful future winger? It's going to be a world-class winger, like Sterling undoubtedly was, but that's 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a bad transfer.
Martinelli. Like, do they not? Well, obviously that is Saka. And do they not think that's also Martinelli, right? Like they put all their eggs in the.
But you need 3. Basket. Real Madrid have got 3. They got Vinicius, Rodrigo.
But Real Madrid are tough to compete with Real Madrid.
Yeah, but it's not to compete with them. But Arsenal are in the same competition as Real Madrid. Arsenal could get to the Champions League semi-final, comp against them. They've got all these guys, and Arsenal have got one who's world class. You still need more.
I think it's a good loan though for both parties. Obviously, Chelsea gets rid of Raheem Sterling. He comes to a club where most of us fans, we love him. Arteta loves him as a coach. We worked with him under Man City.
Yeah,
we all, you really know how good he works under a system.
Adu's got it completely right because he pays half the wages, so Chelsea's still paying 200 grand a week, and there's no obligation to buy.
Yeah, he's
have
not
to
a
work
bad
hard
player.
for the contract.
Last season there was a glimpse of Raheem Sterling last season. He was looking like one of your best attackers at one point.
What it was
it's not a hard thing to do, is it, Chelsea?
But
he's not a bad player.
No, I'm not saying he's a bad player.
He's young.
There's a world he's a spent force. There is a world.
He was asked to do a lot more like creative. Like at City, he was like put the ball in the back of the net, be there for the last move.
Your talisman.
Whereas at Chelsea, he was asked to do a lot more of like pick up the ball at the halfway line, run with it.
That's not Sterling.
It's definitely not Sterling now.
It's not.
Yeah, younger Sterling, okay.
He's
the Leicester.
He's getting a fully functional working team. He's got a good midfield behind him. He's got a great back line. You've got players like Odegaard. You've got Saka on the other side. You've got Havertz who can bring in players like Raheem Sterling on the left hand side. Or the right hand side will do damage. He will do damage to teams.
Yeah, and he's 100%. An upgrade on Reece Nelson, who you've got out for him to come in.
And
that's your option off the bench now.
Honestly, the biggest thing, you can rest Saka now. He has played so many games since he was 17 already, and now you've got someone there where you can put them in and not have to worry too much. And as he said, if he has to play on the left, we might see Sterling start for Arsenal against Tottenham.
So like I said, I rate it a 6, probably a 6 out of 10. It probably would have been a strong 8 out of 10 if we got a striker as well as Sterling. But I just thought
also some of the outs. We have to talk about the outs because we didn't cover Man United's outs. They've made a lot of money with transfers coming out, and Arsenal have as well. With Smith Rowe is a lot of money. He was kind of pure profit. He came out of the academy. It's not just about who you sign. Sometimes it's about who you sell as well. Yeah. Let's just talk very quickly about Brighton. I think they've made some fantastic signings. Rutter from Leeds United, Minter, Vifa, so many others. O'Reilly, I know he's a little bit, he's got injured after his first game, unfortunately. And they've made money on Billy Gilmore, Pascal Gross, and Undav as well. Is Brighton gone under the radar for their transfer activity?
Brighton, I think, have the best window. Because I think in 2-3 years' time, about some of the players you've mentioned there will probably be going for nearly 100 million.
I think Rotter's right there.
Is ridiculous. We talk about Newcastle needing a right winger. They just sold. I mean, it was kind of for PSR. But
Yeah.
They just sold one, probably the person they could ideally use every single week, to Brighton for 30 million quid. And yeah, I know it probably was a little bit to do with PSR and stuff. But he looks very, very exciting. You have to look a couple of seasons ago when they brought in João Pedro, who looks brilliant. Like if they could just continue this conveyor belt. They've got a manager who is only a couple of years older than John, but he looks really, really good. He's
Younger
playing
than Miles.
He's playing some really, really good football. I just think it's the classic. Brighton continue to do this, and like we forget they've still got Evan Ferguson, who 2 seasons ago was looking like
Matoma's in there.
£100 signing.
Dunk's still in there. A big keep for them,
mate. They are just continually smashing it. I think they've got some absolute gems there. Baleba, who was there last season, looked really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've had maybe the best window.
I want to talk about West Ham very quickly as well. Go on.
Sorry, just to touch on Brighton. Everything he said, I agree with, because when we was playing them and we was 10 men down and they was bringing on these players, they brought on Ayari, Rota, Estebania, Adingra, and Asiso. I was like, stop bringing on these guys. The subs was just like, oh my, it's getting better. It's getting better. It's getting better. Like, their squad was good. I was like, where did all these guys come from?
They are. You know what's crazy about Brighton now as well? Like they are. Everyone's like pain in the arse to play against. You know, you got Brighton that week and you think, we could play well and win 2-0. We could draw this or lose. They are a pain for everything.
Yeah.
100%. Should we just cover Fulham very, very quickly? I like the Paulinho deal because you've made a lot of money there. Stansfield for 15 million quid is one of the biggest transfers in the history of almost third division football in this country. Adebayo's gone to Chelsea. Fine, he served you very, very well. But the players that have come in, they're so exciting, man.
Yeah, 100%. It's really exciting times for us. I think it's Marco Silva's got the squad playing the football that he wants to play. Smith Rowe scored on his home debut. Looks good. It's vibes as well, by the way. Fulham is vibes. We're playing a system where we basically haven't started a recognised DM yet. We play Pereira as a 10, Smith Rowe as a 10, Iwobi, Traore looks bigger than ever on the right wing. We got Muniz up front causing chaos. Everyone seems to have played at Arsenal's academy and loves each other. Like they all got their own little dance every time they score. Like they're just vibing, and I love it.
Fuck me later.
I love it. And yeah, like the Stansfield sale, 15 mil to League One.
Mental.
It's more than the Scottish Premier League has ever spent on a player in League One.
Crazy.
Mad.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But he is a talent. And from a Fulham perspective, it's good to see us making some money
Cost
on
more than Chiesa, bro.
Yeah, it's insane.
Come on. I want to talk about West Ham very, very quickly. They got a brand new manager in Lopetegui. They had to back him, I think. Kilman has already looked fantastic. Somerville, the best player in the Championship, arguably last season for Leeds United. Fulkrug, Champions League level striker. Obviously, the left back from Chelsea, Wan-Bissaka from Man United. Rodriguez for free, fantastic as well. I think this has gone right under the radar, lads. West Ham United.
Wan-Bissaka is looking like a brand new player for West Ham.
He's going to do well.
He's flourishing on the West Ham. It's just like the shackles are off. He's got.
It's his level, isn't it? And it's not in a disrespectful way. I feel West Ham is a massive club, but he's not a Manchester United fullback. In a modern day fullback that needs to carry the ball, needs to play inside.
In 1995, he's a Man United fullback.
Yeah,
he actually is.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? 1995 he is, man.
West Ham, he'll be fantastic. They've smashed it.
Like Guido Rodriguez as well. Like he's very like getting players for free nowadays is actually not the easiest thing to do. And he's a little bit older. He's 30 years old. But I think someone like him, may by the end of the season, we might look back and go, oh god,
I think they're a good side.
Yeah, really good pickup.
I think they're a good side.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some of the worst transfer activity of the season. We've got Zach here, so obviously we'll cover Chelsea in a minute. Let's just start off with Newcastle. I think this is harsh. Our producers put him on the list. I think it's a little bit harsh because they've kept Bruno, they've kept Isak, they've kept Botman, they've kept obviously Pope as well. I think they've still got a very, very good spine. But selling Elliot Anderson, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. Mint is one we've covered already.
PSR for Elliot Anderson as well, I think, is part of it. I mean, it is good they've kept him this year. But they must be sitting there, like Eyes must be sitting there and going, cool, so we haven't brought anyone in.
What about Mbappe? I thought they were going to get him 4 years ago.
But it's in but for their like project and like convincing these players, like, okay, we're going to the next level, we're going to be bringing in more quality. Like obviously they brought in Tanai last year. I guess to a degree he'll feel like a new signing this season. But like I do wonder if, because Isaac's not going to be getting any younger now. Like I think he's like 25, 26. So he'll be thinking about, okay, cool, when am I going to start challenging for titles? When am I going to be playing consistently in the Champions League? And so if Newcastle aren't necessarily improving to get to that side, then maybe he'll start to think next summer, okay, I might need to look at the next.
100%.
Is it one of those windows where the window is okay on a footballing? I'm a neutral to Newcastle United. I think it's okay as a football fan. but it isn't okay to Eddie Howe, who's the manager, and that could be the issue. The transfer window actually pushes Eddie Howe out the door.
Yeah.
England come calling, he doesn't think he's being supported enough. That might be the big issue. He's obviously been sold certain promises by PIF, and they're not being upheld, whether for right or for wrong.
And I think you're being generous on them, Zach. Like, I mean, Alan Shearer said it was embarrassing. It is embarrassing. You go after Mark Gahey that publicly.
Yeah.
Get him.
You
either get him or you do what Manchester United now have done, where they go for a player. Oh, it's not. We'll pull out the deal.
Yeah.
The lack of respect, or self-respect, it looks like to us. You're just like you're begging it. Yeah. Either get the player or pull out the deal.
And like you said, Zach, they've got all the money, and obviously because of certain reasons they can't spend it, but they got to look like they're progressing, because there's certain players in that team like Gordon, Isak, Bruno G. There's teams that'll be
side though. You keep them.
Tonali's back, but there'll be players knocking on the door. Like Man City wanted Bruno G. Arsenal was looking at him. Gordon was sidelined Liverpool.
There's no way those players aren't knocking on. There's no way Isak's not sat there and going like, "What are we doing here?"
Well, they have
like Rooney back in the day at Old Trafford. They used to just go and be like, "Who are these players? They're not good enough." That's the level if you're those types of players.
And Everton are a bigger club than Newcastle as well for Wayne Rooney. So what about Leicester City? I feel sad for Leicester City a little bit. Former Premier League champions. I mean, they came 5th back-to-back seasons. I know they got relegated, but some of the spending. You got Ayew, who anytime I see Ayew kicking about, I just can't believe he's in the league. With all due respect, Edouard is a decent player. Bobby Reed I like a lot, brings a lot of energy and experience, of course. But they've sold their best players. They've given their best manager, obviously, to Chelsea as well. Is this a transfer window that could relegate Leicester City?
I mean, there's also the talk about them getting deducted points as well. It's tough because they didn't have a lot of money to spend essentially, and as you said, they lost arguably their best player in Dewsbury Hall. What might be a slight positive is they can't. If they still had Enzo and they were trying to play the exact kind of football he wants to play in this league and wanted to bring in a certain kind of player to do it, it might have been arguably worse. They might have really struggled even more to kind of compete, especially when now they've essentially, like, you're rolling out a 37-year-old Jamie Vardy, give him a red ball and hope for the best every single game. Yeah. It is a little bit difficult. Yeah. At least I think with Steve Cooper, he can kind of be a bit more sensible and go, okay, look, Bobby Decordova-Reid, he's not going to be the star name that we want, but he can do us a job here. He knows this league inside out. He knows what it's like to be kind of playing in this kind of situation where, no disrespect to Fulham, but when they first came up, like, they were kind of trying to make sure they were still staying in the Premier League every year. And so I think
it's tough for Leicester, man.
It's very tough.
It's damned if they do, damned if they don't, because they know that they're going to get this point deduction, which more than likely is going to relegate them. So they can't really sign players that's going to put them on big wages, because they're going to stuck with these players in the Championship. Players are going to want to go. So I think they've done okay business. I think they've got rid of Dewsbury Hall, as you can see there. Like, they've done all right. If they can try stay up, I know it's going to be tough for them, but getting like you said, getting like Reed and Ayew and for experience to try to help them stay in the league, it's not that bad.
It screams just playing 5-4-1 or 4-5-1, parking the bus with Vardy up front.
But where do you get?
I know, but it's what Zach said. It's kind of like the realization. You're not Enzo Maresca. You're not going to aim for 100 points in the Premier League like they tried to in the Championship. They were unplayable at points in the Championship last season. That's not them anymore. They're in the Premier League. They're holding on for dear life.
So would you rather them double down and say we go hard in the transfer market? We try to get all these players to try keep us into the Premier League and fight through this 10-point deduction?
No, I think they've got it right, lads. I think they have got it right. I think they have got it right.
We do what we're doing now, knowing that we're more than likely going down, and we can try to come back up.